Now I'm going to record Daf Kuf Part 2. We're up to the Mishnah on Kuf Amud Aleph, about 10 lines from the bottom. We have to be patient with the Mishnah until we get to the Gemara. The Mishnah says, Zorak, if you throw an object in Rosh Hashanah, l'toich arba amis, to go less than arba amis, v'nizgalgel chutz l'arba amis, and it continued past arba amis, you're potter. There's three pshatim in the Rishonim what happened here. According to some, I only wanted to throw it less than 4. It went more than 4. I wanted to throw it 3 and it went 6. So it's misasik. That's not what I wanted to do, and therefore I'm potter. According to the second pshat, it made a temporary stop lower than 3 tfachim on an object which is not quite dalit al dalit, but before the arba amas are over. It made a minor landing, but that minor landing counts because it's less than 3 tfachim from the ground. Once it landed there, I can no longer be chayiv for the second step where it continued out past the arba amas. And the third shot is I threw it for 3 amas, but the wind then carried it from 3 to 6. So the wind has nothing to do with me. I was not the one who was moitzi at chutz l'arba amas. So we have 3 pshatim: either loy is avida machshavtoi, or it was noch koidim sheyotzu me'arba amas, or the wind took it chutz l'arba amas. On the other hand, what happens is galgal. If you threw it chutz l'arba amas, if you threw it past arba amas, but before it rested, nisgalgal l'toich arba amas, it comes back with an arba amas, you're chayiv. Which the Gemara immediately jumps and says, well, enough. But if it never landed past arba amas, then why am I chayiv? Rabbi Yochanan says, you see, v'hu shenach al gabi mashu. It landed on something past arba amas, but the thing was not dalet al dalet, but it was lower than 3 tvachim from the ground. Let's consider that it had its hanacha there, and even though then it kept moving or the wind was blowing it and blew it back inside, I'm chayiv, because even though it never mamish stopped moving, but nevertheless, since it rested temporarily, momentarily, on something less than 3 tfachim from the ground, it's considered hanocha chutz le dalet amas. Tanya, we learned in a brayso, and nami also hachi, like that. Zarek chutz la arba amas, if you throw something more than 4 amas in the Rosh Hashanah, udechafatu aruach, and the wind blew it, vechnisatu, and brought it back. Afal pisha chazra v'itziatu, even though it takes it back out, you're potter. Why? Because it never landed, and my maisa was ended. But achozatu ruach mashu. But if the wind holds it up, chutz l'arba amas, and the Rishonim learn pshat, it held it up chutz l'arba amas on top of a davar sheyesh boy hanocha, but it's not a dalet al dalet. Even though it blew it back in, I'm chayiv. So one more time, if it mamish never landed anywhere outside of the arba amas and it just flew around, then I'm potter. But if it kind of rested chutz l'arba amas, even though it wasn't on a dalet al dalet, but if it's less than 3 tefachim from the ground, it's considered anocha chutz me'arba amas, and I'm chayiv. And even if it blows it back inside, I can't become potter. Omar Rava, so Rava now says, Toch shloisha l'rabanan tzarech hanocha al gabi mashu. So according to the Rabbanan, if you throw something in Rosh Hashanah, even though it's within 3 tvachim of the ground, it still needs, if it's thrown, it still needs to have anoch on top of something, even though it's not a dalet al dalet. Again, if you're maver arbamas b'Rosh Hashanah and your hand is holding it pachas mishloish, it's considered anocha. But if it's flying and you want to consider because of lava that it's munach b'Rosh Hashanah, it has to have a hanocha koldu on something, even if it's less than dalet al dalet. Yosef Meremer become a little shmaiter. Meremer is repeating it. Amar le Ravina is Ravina says to Meremer lavhaina masnisim. That's our Mishnah. The Mishnah says if you threw something out of arba amas and it came back, you're chayiv. Amar Rabbi Yochanan explains v'ushanach al gabi mashu. If it landed on top of something less than 3 tefachim from the ground, that's considered its hanocha. So that was already Rabbi Yochanan's pirish in our Mishnah. Amar le, so Meremer explained mizgalgul ka'amrit. See there you're talking when the thing is still moving. If it's still moving, Mizgalgal ain't soifer lenuach. Mizgalgal wasn't really going to end up in that spot chutz mi arba amas. So that was Rabbi Yochanan's chiddush, that if it has to be nachal gabi mashu in order to be a hanacham. Aval hai, but let's say you throw something arba amas and it's going to go there and stay there and land on the ground. I would say, given the soifer lenuach, if it's going to land and not go anywhere, it's going to land where you threw it to. So maybe afagav d'loy nach command nach dami. Maybe if it would be within 3 tefachim of the ground, even if it didn't land on dalet al dalet, it should also be considered hanocha. Kamash malon, that even though the object that you threw is going to land on the same spot that you intended it, but if it stops 3 tefachim from the ground, it's only considered a hanocha if it lands on a mashu, on something, it has, even if it's less than dalit al dalit. So not only if it's still moving around, do you need a temporary hanacha on something, even when it's less than 3 tvachim from the ground, even if it's going to land in a certain spot, you still need a hanacha al gabi mashu. Azarik bayam arba amis potter. If you throw something 4 amis in the yam, you're potter, because the yam is a carmelis. If you have a pool of water in the street and people walk across it, then that's considered a Rishus Harabim. So Azarik l'toich arba amis chayiv. If you throw 4 amis in that pool, you're chayiv because it's a Rishus Harabim. How long will this pool, up to what point will this pool be a din of Rishus Harabim? As long as it's pachas me'asar tvachim, as long as the pool is less than 10 tvachim deep. The moment it's 10 tvachim deep, it's already no longer a thoroughfare and it becomes a carmelis. It's already too difficult to wade through it. And then the Mishnah repeats itself. If you have a pool of water and the Rishus Harabim, the people walk through it, so it's considered Rishus Harabim because it's a thoroughfare, and anybody who throws arba amis is chayiv. There's a Gemara we had already in the first parak, which the Gemara is darshaning a mission as if it would be a pasuk chumash. One of the Rabbanan said, L'Rav Bishleim, it says, Hiluch trei zimri, it says 2 times the Rishus Harabim mahaleches through the rakik. Hokam Ashbans, to teach you, watch carefully, here comes the deal. Hiluch, even though it's al yidei atchak shmei hiluch, if people go through this pool, even though they go through a difficulty, it's still considered people going through it, and it's still a Rishus Harabim. But tashmish al yidei atchak lo yishmei tashmish. But using something al yidei atchak is not called tashmish, and let me explain. We had a Gemara earlier in the beginning of the Masechta that if you have a post Rishus Harabim that's 9 tvachim high and dalit al dalit, it's less than dinner Rishus Harabim. Why? Because people use that 9 tvachim high post to adjust their loads on it. The Gemara wanted to know, what if you have a 9 tvachim deep pit, which is dalit al dalit? Would you also consider that a Rishus Harabim instead of a carmelis? Because people will use it to store things. The Gemara says, Tashmish al yidei atchak lo yishmei tashmish. How do you know? The rise from here, because the Mishnah repeats twice, he looked to tell you that even going across this pool with difficulty is still considered going across, and it has the din of Rishus Harabim. But using something, Rishus Harabim, using something like a pit, which is 9 tvachim deep, doesn't count, and therefore it's a carmelis. El rekek trei zimni lomal. Why does the Mishnah say the word rekek, pool, twice? Darshaning the words. Chad b'moisach chama v'chad b'moisach kshamim, to tell you that it's a thoroughfare both summer and winter. Utzriche, and you need both chidushim. Ditana chada, if we would only say it once, havamin, I might have said, hanimili b'moisach chama. Maybe during the summer it's a thoroughfare. David yenchi demazgi lakuri nafshayu. People go across the pool to cool off. Al b'moisach shamim, in cold water in the winter. And loy, maybe it's not a thoroughfare. B'yashmin b'moisach shamim, if the Mishnah would say that during the winter it's a thoroughfare, because the kivin the mitanfi leich paslu, since their shoes are dirty anyway, they don't mind wading through water in their dirty shoes. Al b'moisacham, when people in the summertime when their shoes are neat, maybe loy is kamash malan bein b'summer and bein b'winter, the thoroughfare is considered a thoroughfare. That's why it says rekek twice. Abayam Rabbi has another chiddush. It's true. The reason it says rekek twice, maybe this pool is considered a thoroughfare if it's not 4 amas long. If it's 4 amas long, akufi makfilu, instead of wading through it, people will go around it. And therefore, if people don't wade through it, it has become a carmelis. Kamash malan, that even if it's more than 4 amas long, as long as it's less than 10 tefachim deep, people will still wade and splash across it. Ravashi says a different explanation why it says rekik twice. Itzrich. If it's at least 4 tvachim, then people walk through it and it's a Rishus Harabim. But let's say it's less than 4 tvachim long, mifsi pasilu, people step over it. And if people step over it, maybe it's considered a makam ptur, because it's less than dalit and people don't use it. And the Kamash Malon, that it's still, people going over it is still part of the thoroughfare, and it's considered Rishus Harabim. V'az de Ravashi l'tami, Ravashi is l'shitosoi, dam Ravashi amanda zorik v'nach aguda de gamlo. Somebody who throws arba amas b'Rishus Harabim and it lands on a board of a bridge, which is a very narrow board, even though people will normally step over it, michayiv is chayiv. Why? Shahari Rabim baikim, by the fact that people step over it or walk past it, still makes it part of the Rishus Harabim. Hazarik ben ayam liyaboshem and ayabosha liyam. If you throw from the sea onto shore, that's min karmelis l'Rishus Harabim, or mi abosha liyam, from Rishus Harabim l'karmelis, and ayam l'sfina, min asfina liyam, from the sea which is a karmelis to a boat which is a Rishus Hayachid, or vice versa, from the boat which is a Rishus Hayachid to the yam which is a karmelis, min asfina l'chaverta, or from one boat to the other, potter you potter, because the because you threw from one Rosh Hashanah to the other Rosh Hashanah over a carmelis, and the Chum were machmir not to do that the same way they didn't want you throwing Rosh Hashanah over Rosh Hashanah. Sfinas kshura zubazu. What if the two boats are tied together? Metaltal mizulazu. You're allowed to carry from one to the other, and if they belong to two different people, you have to make an erev chatzeres. But in enan kshuras, even though if they're not tied together, even though right now they're next to each other, you can't carry from one to the other, even if it belongs to the same person, because I'm chayish that they're going to move apart, and if they move apart, it's mershusayachid l'shusayachid derech karmelis. Of course, you should know that speaking where the boats are low, because if the boats are low, then you're going through a carmelis. But if the boats are high and going mershusayachid l'shusayachid is going to be higher than 10 tefachim, then you're going derech makam ptur, and then it's mutter. Itmer, it was said, Sfina, somebody's on a boat and he wants to take fresh water, let's say he's on a fresh water, body of fresh water, he wants to bucket some water from the river to his boat. Rav Huna says, all you need to do is put a stick out from the boat, which we'll explain in a second, and they just take a bucket and fill water and bring it onto the boat. Rav Chizda v'Rabba bar Rav Huna say, you have to create like a enclosure of 3 walls, which is 4 by 4 tefachim, lower it into the water. So if you created a shus hayachid right next to your boat, then you can take from the water through that enclosure onto your boat. Rav Huna holds, all you need to do is put a stick out of your boat and just fill your bucket happily. Why? Because Ksavri holds carmelis me'ara mashchinan, that the carmelis is measured from the bottom from the floor of the water. So vavira, once you've gotten up to the surface of the water where you want to take water from, it's a makam ptur. It's a makam ptur. So makam ptur into your shusayachid onto your boat is fine. Ubedinu, this is nami loy leboy. You shouldn't even need that stick, that pole sticking out of the boat. Elakihechi delehavi lehakeri. You're sticking it out. The people shouldn't make a mistake to actually carry from a real carmelis l'shusayachid. So you're putting out the stick that people should pay attention that here you're taking water from the surface, which is already l'malam yasor tefachim and a makam ptur. Rav Chizda Rabba bar Rav Huna Amri Oisa Makam Arba Mamale. Rav Chizda Rabba Rav Huna holds you have to make 3 walls, an enclosure right outside your boat into the water, so you can draw water through that enclosure. Because misfas maya mashchinan, because you measure from the surface of the water. Because maya aras michta, it's considered as if the water is solid, and therefore you're taking from the carmelis itself. Is like avid arba. If you're not making this enclosure of dalit al dalit kamatatli, you're carrying the carmelis l'shusayachid from the sea to a shusayachid. Amar le Rav Nachman l'Rabba baravua l'Rav Huna the Amar moitzi amena ziz kol shul mamale. If you hold, all you need to do is stick out a pole, and then you could be mamale because the sea is a carmelis. But zimnin delekasora. What happens? Sometimes the boat is going to go somewhere where it's less than 10 tefachim from the seabed to the surface. So then the water you're taking from the surface is not from makam ptur. You're taking it out of the carmelis. The kamatalton, you're carrying the carmelis l'shus hayachid. He told him, Gamrina, we have a tradition, the sfina, big boat, doesn't maleches, doesn't go b'pachas me'asora. It doesn't go if the water is less than 10 tefachim deep. So since the water is higher than 10 tefachim, according to Rav Huna, you're taking from a makam ptur. But Mursha Isla, the front of the boat comes to a point, and it's elevated off the water. And over there, since there's no depth to the front slanted point of the boat, it can even go in a place where it's less than 10 tefachim deep. So how would you be able to take water out from the front of the boat, from the water in front of the boat onto the boat? Maybe over there the water is less than 10 tefachim deep. Rav Safra says, Goshushi Azli Kamo. There are people who go in front of the boat and they mark depth. And the moment they see the depth is getting shallow, they don't even go there. They don't wait until the boat beaches on the shallow ground. So therefore, the boat is always l'mala mi'asara, and therefore the water level that the boat is on is always more than asara tefachim. Therefore, Rav Huna holds it's a makam ptur. Amar Rav Nachman Yitzchak Rav Chia bar Oven Rav Chizda Rabba bar Rav Huna Damri Oisa Makam Arba Mamale. But according to Rav Chizda and Rabba bar Rav Huna that hold that you have to make a 3-walled enclosure in order to draw water to drink. What do you do with your wastewater, with dirt or whatever? If you say you deposit it down that same enclosure, it seems like the boat is staying in one place. It's just disgusting. I mean, the water moves under it, but still, it's disgusting to draw your drinking water from the same place you deposit your bilge water. The shadi ladaf the sfina. Um, but that what you do is on some other side of the boat, you pour it against the wall of the exterior wall of the boat, and it bounces into the sea. But you still were moitzim reshus yochad lekarmelis al yedei your kayach, because it rebounded off the wall of the ship. Is kayach lekarmelis legazu from reshus yochad the karmelis only the rabbanon. The rabbanon only prohibited it directly, not if it was indirect by bouncing it off the wall of your ship. Okay. So kol tiv agitavach. I hear sounds of possibility that we should be able to see each other in person soon. I hope so. Kol tiv agitavach.